Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast, where we unlock the power within and navigate the journey of your self-discovery together. I'm Shaz, your spiritual mentor and life coach, here to help you tap into your inner guidance system and manifest your best life. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or looking to deepen your practice, this podcast offers insights, techniques, and inspiration to elevate your consciousness and transform your reality. Get ready to shine your light and embrace your true potential. Remember, the answers are inside you. Let me be your guide on earth. Welcome back to the Spiritual Awakening podcast with Shaz. I'm your host, Shaz. Today we're going to be talking about past lives and how throughout the awakening journey you start to uncover the different aspects of your past lives, really looking at the impact that your past can have on your present soul's journey. The history of the different lives that you've lived before will certainly show up in your lifetime when you awaken to the spiritual perspective of your soul. It is through this awakening process that you start to uncover there are more depths to the reality that you're aware of, and realize that, one, there are many different planes out there. There's all the different realities that we live in, and the past has a huge impact on the present, and that is through different lives that you live in the past. But there are also impacts that our present lives can have on us, simply because time is only linear on the 3D earth plane. Everywhere else, it is called consecutive time. And you can be living multifacets with your soul in different realities all over the universe. With this factor in mind, one of the first things that people really start to pay attention to when they go through that awakening process is the heightened intuitive experience, and they really start to understand that they have a fair few deja vu moments where they meet people and they realize that there's a connection to them that's deeper than the moment of impact of that meeting. This is part of the soul collective where we start to realize that you can meet old souls from different lifetimes that come to share lessons, growth, healing, and awareness with us in this current version of ourselves. It is through these connections and awakenings, and they happen many times throughout your spiritual journey and your lifetime, that you'll realize why you are here. A lot of it has to do with the word karma. Now, everyone thinks karma is a bad thing, but karma is just the yin-yang aspect of life. And what these interactions are all about is, at some point in life, we have done certain things to them, and other points in life, they have done certain things to us. That is the balance, the yin-yang. It's about the lessons, the growth, the interactions that we have with each other. And at each moment in time, we become aware of what is our lesson and what is our role that we're playing. Are we here to be the teacher, or are we here to be the student? And this is why the past life impact can have a great interaction with the here and now, because it shows up in different ways of how we, one, have relationships with our family members, with our partners, with our love relationships, with our best friends. These can be karmic, soulmate, twin flame, all those types of special named relationships, but simply they're interactions that our soul decided on a contractual basis in our Akashic record that we wanted to learn in this present current reality. It is up to us how we decide to delve deep into the past. Some people are really not going to care. They're just going to leave it as it is and not have any connection with it. Others do want to take a really deep dive into those past lives. I personally went through a lot of past life regressions and healing sessions via hypnosis and kinesiology in order to uncover why certain things were happening in my life. One of the biggest past life lessons that I had to learn, and one of the very first, was all my life I just disliked, or I don't even like the word hated, but I hated cats. And I had a common saying, the only good cat was a dead cat. And it used to hurt my heart to think that about animals, because I love all animals, but I didn't like cats. And at the same time, cats were very, very attracted to me. everywhere I went, anyone had a cat, it wanted to come and play with me, and I didn't want a bar of it. I had what I considered an allergic reaction to cats. I disliked them, and I didn't know why. I did wonder on many deep levels why it was so, but it wasn't until I was in about my late 20s, early 30s, that I had a past life regression to understand. And the intent of this regression was to figure out why I had an aversion to cats. I wanted to know, why didn't I like them? Why did I have such animosity towards them? So I did a past life regression journey, and I found myself in a past life with Bastet, the Egyptian cat goddess. No, I wasn't Bastet, but I was one of her sister goddesses, or one of the people around her that was involved in that existence. And during that lifetime, I had a blessed life. It was very rich. It was very fulfilling. And I was really quite happy right up until the end. And it was through discovering of my death in that lifetime, I found my aversion to cats. And what happened in this regression is we were inside one of the pyramids, and outside the earth shook. Now, it could have been an earthquake, but my belief was it was some sort of spaceship that came down. And whilst it vibrated the earth, you know, the big cat statues of Bastet, one of them fell and it hit me right here in the middle of the third eye, and it caused my death. And that created a karmic footprint impact that in this life, for most of my early years, I immensely disliked cats. So being the healer and spiritual person that I am, I decided that it was time I learned to get over that. So I started the healing journey of releasing that impactful fear. I had a natural fear of cats. I wasn't really afraid of them. And the real funny part was I didn't like house cats, but I love big cats. I love tigers and lions. I want to pat them and play with them, just not little cats. And it was simply because that statue caused my death in a previous life. And that memory is embedded in my soul, in my unconscious mind. And I decided to change that. So I got myself a cat. And I had a beautiful male cat, and I called him Garfield because he was orange, as everyone does. And I loved him, and he was amazing. But because I worked a lot all the time and he had to spend a lot of time outdoors, he met and found a neighbour's cat named George that lived 2 doors up from us when I lived in Blacktown at the time. And he and George formed a very strong bond and friendship, and they used to hang out. And every night, I just figured he'd go out during the day and come back home, because every night he came back home and he'd come to get fed. And then every now and then I started noticing George would come with him. So they'd come and have dinner at my house, and he'd stay the night. And then the next day he'd go back to George's house and hang out. Eventually I had to move, and I had to go and try and track him down and find him. So I found him at the neighbour's house 2 doors up. I knew this cat was with him. I didn't know George's name at the time, but I did know that they interacted and played. But through following him, and I found out where he went, and I finally talked to the neighbour, and she told me that Garfield used to come. She didn't know Garfield's name either. He had a collar, but not his name on it. And she said, oh, he and George are best friends, and he comes here and I feed him and everything. I said, so these two little sneaks are, one, getting spoiled in 2 homes, because they'd both come for loving at my home when I was home, and they would get loving and attention all day because she was at home at the time, and they got a lot of attention from her, and they also got fed twice. So they were living in the lap of luxury. And because I was moving and I wasn't sure 100% of where I was going, and by this stage the 2 cats had bonded very strongly, I didn't want to take Garfield away from his mate, and the neighbour really didn't want to have him disappear, because she'd bonded with him as well. So I gave him up, and she adopted him and took him over. But this was the way that I decided to heal my journey from my past life to get over my aversion to cats. And a couple of years later, I ended up getting another cat. Unfortunately, I also had to lose that cat or find it another home, because it wasn't able to stay with me. But nowadays, I love cats. I play with them. I pat them. They are still highly attracted to me, because I simply have healed that version of life that I lived in at the time. This is why past lives come to us. Not just for general knowledge, not for inquisitive minds, but because there is a reason and an impact of what happened in the past for you to fix in the present. Personally, I have found dozens of past lives, so many that I can't even recall them all, but they all had a purpose of why I went to heal them, to heal the current present problems that I had. One of the big past life factors is my relationship with my brother. I had to understand why we had so much animosity, and it started from the moment I was born, and it was because of the past life carryover. Therefore, I healed it, and that is how I've mended and built a better, stronger relationship with my brother today. Recently, during my training for NLP and hypnosis, I went and did another past life regression because I'm having limiting beliefs and struggles around finances. And wanting to know the reason for that, I decided to go on a past life journey to figure out what happened in a past life to impact my present life regarding my financial situation. And I discovered a past life that helped me gain more knowledge. But there are multi levels to this limiting belief and the problems that have arisen in my life regarding finances over the term of the 52 years that I've been here this year. Those different elements, that past life was one factor. It is not the whole factor, but it was one factor of what is impacting my financial lifestyle in this present moment. There are other factors. There were limiting beliefs based on how I grew up, because I grew up in a single parent household that we didn't have a lot of money. I was taught that money was hard to come by. There were all sorts of limiting beliefs, the old-fashioned adage of money doesn't grow on trees, etc., etc. These were factors that impacted the subconscious mind and the way that money evolves and revolves through my life. And I wanted to change that. And manifesting and creating things like that are part of the healing journey. And thankfully, they're getting so much better. It is taken time, but there are still layers that you have to peel back. Now, a past life regression is not the only factor that is going to make an impact on what you're doing in your healing journey. It is one layer of the onion. These healing core wounds that you are here to evolve, grow, and elevate through as part of your ascension journey of your soul go so much deeper than you realize. It is up to you how much effort you put into that healing journey. There's ups and downs with it all the way, and the past life will just bring you so many different aspects. As I mentioned, there are many different ways that you can go on past life journeys. A lot of people can do it through their own meditative space. You can create a safe space to go into meditation, call forth your higher self, and have communication with it. You can do it through things like timeline therapy, hypnosis, kinesiology, general Reiki healing sessions. I've done Reiki healing sessions on people, and I've had past life injuries pop up. I remember working on a client many years ago, and I felt all this pressure in his back, and energetically I removed an arrow from his back, and underneath where I was healing, I didn't know because I couldn't see it, because he was wearing a shirt at the time too, I felt all this pressure, and I just asked him about, does he have this, and can he feel this, what's going on? And we discovered at the back of, I think it was his right shoulder near the scapula, that he actually has a scar carried over from that past life. Our past lives do show up in our present body. Your birthmarks, I have a tiny one here, I have others on my body, but birthmarks are representations of injuries or problems or areas to solve in your past life journey. So the scar that he had on his back, the story and messages that I got told through my connection was he and his daughter used to be in a past life together, and they were having problems in this current life, relationship problems that they couldn't work out. And we discovered that they were brothers in another life, or there was a brotherhood there, but they were in war together, and she had murdered him in that previous life. From that discovery, they were able to go and heal that relationship. And it is so much better now because they understood how it was playing out in the present. The only reason you truly want to delve into your past lives is to try and figure out the impact of what it's having on your present life. Many people call it karma, but it is much deeper than that. These are lessons and part of the evolution and growth of your soul in order for you to ascend to the level of growth and evolution that your soul wants to take during this lifetime. The spiritual awakening journey will help you understand that your soul is here to learn lessons on many, many different levels. Some are short, some are quick, some are very easy to filter through, and many others are deep emotional wounds that can take years and years and years and have massive impact. Some creating trauma, some creating deep bonds. The soulmate relationship, whether that's a lover soulmate, and your soulmate is not just your lover, it's not just your partner and husband and everything like that. Soulmate relationships can happen between a mother and a child, through best friends, through just different interactions. The same as twin flames. They don't have to be sexual, intimate relationships. The difference between a soulmate relationship is your soulmate usually is the biggest person to teach you the greatest lessons, and it's the hardest relationship that you literally have because they are the greatest teacher for each other. And it's how you evolve through that. And sometimes those great hard relationships can be deep love abiding relationships. And then you can travel many different lifetimes together in many different forms. Soulmate relationships do have lots of different past life impacts on it. Whereas the twin flame relationships are all about coming together for a collective purpose. And when you come together, it burns so brightly, has a massive impact and awakening on you. But it is to come together for a collective goal, a collective growth reason. And the main reason why many twin flame relationships break down is that you are both not on board for that collective goal reason. When you are, beautiful magic happens all over the world. And when you're not, it burns out, burns bright and fizzles out and creates a lot of healing and scarring within the emotional, physical and mental bodies for you to work through and heal. This is the important factor about delving into those past lives. They are there to show us what we need to understand about being present in today. When you have aches and pains in the body or different things that are slowing us down, or you carry over disease from previous lives to manifest into this life, the only way to heal through them is to go through those past life journeys, to delve deeper beyond the scope of the reality that you're sitting in. As I said, past and present lives can impact, and current future lives that are coming based on the universal time of congruent and consecutive timing does have that impact on you. Linear time, 3D time, 24-hour time, and yearly time is only an earthly thing. And even in that earthly thing, we filter back on our timeline in many different ways. And that is the beauty of timeline therapy. There are many different signs that can show up to show you that your past life is having an impact on you. As I said, the birthmark is one of them. Others can be unexplained physical symptoms in the body that you can't find a resource or an answer to. Toxic relationships or repetitive patterns of the same type of relationship. When you meet different people and you all go through the same type of pattern together, it's usually because you're not learning the karmic lesson based on the interaction. You're not receiving the full lesson or teaching the full lesson to people that those interactions are all about. It also shows up in feelings of nothing ever goes right for you, that everything is happening to you. And this is where we get low down in the victimology of pre-awakening and really the essence of blame or acceptance that you're not fully in control of your life. One of the things throughout this spiritual awakening journey, when you delve into those past lives, you do realize that you are totally in control of what you're doing. If you ever struggle and you want to know more, go and get an Akashic record reading. Go and find out some of the history around what are the lessons that you've asked yourself to learn, what is going on for you in this current life that is important for you to be aware of. Because no matter what, I can guarantee you, those lessons will keep coming back and back and back until you learn them. Past life can also impact us with addictive patterns of behavior and addictions to food, drugs, alcohol, smoking, gambling, all of those types of things. If you're struggling to overcome them in this life, and some people get them out of nowhere for no reason, always consider that your past life may hold the answers. They also manifest in lots of different unreasonable fears, like fears of abandonment, financial struggles like I've had in my own life, unexplained relationship dynamics, which I've also had in my own life, fear of heights, fear of spiders, fear of snakes, fear of lots of different things. I have done many different past life regressions over the time, and a few of them have been about unreasonable fears. And every time we've gone back and found out that in a past life they experienced something that created this unreasonable fear. So if you have a fear that's out there and you can't find an explanation for it, consider going to do a past life regression or a connection with someone on the healing plane to find out the root cause of it. In order to heal, you must find the root cause of it. My financial struggles, I've not been through just one past life. There have been many layers of it. As I said, we are pretty much an onion and we peel back one layer at a time. It is up to us how far we choose to go back. But it is important for you to go back and to do the internal work. It is the only true way you're going to forward progress and get through this. Many emotional wounds and blocks can stem from your past life. They all don't have to, but when you have exhausted all the areas of the current life that you're living, consider looking back even further. In the hypnosis process, quantum healing techniques and rapid transition techniques can also help you go back into these past life journeys. As I mentioned, timeline therapy, kinesiology, and Reiki. But make sure you find a teacher who has a lot of skill and understanding about it. Also be mindful of when you're working with someone to make sure that they don't have any intent of inserting information into your psyche. Many, many years ago, when I was doing my first delve into this topic and healing modality, because it is a healing modality at its core, I went and I had a trusted mentor and we did kinesiology and I had some great experiences with that. And I went and found someone else who did it. And at the time, I didn't fully understand the woman because when I asked her how she did it, she told me she was communicating with her higher self. And in her higher self, she would get the answers. At that stage, back in my early journey, it was in my early 20s, I didn't understand the connection between your higher self and being different. I thought everything was via spirit guides. And I didn't fully trust the information that she was saying. But over meeting her over a couple of years, I decided, well, let's give it a try and see what happens. And it was really quite amazing. It was my ignorance that was the problem. I didn't understand how she did it because I didn't have any awareness. I didn't understand kinesiology, but I managed to trust that because of all the experiences I had with it being totally amazing, awe-inspiring, and giving me answers to things that I never found for myself. But her experience with that past life was really powerful and impactful at the time to help me through and deal with the loss of my children. It was how I really started to delve into what is the relationship between miscarriage and loss and how that shows up and how they live on the spiritual plane and grow over in the spirit world. It changed the trajectory of my own education and learning. So I'm really grateful for that experience. My only problem with it is I just can't quite remember the lady's name. I had another experience with a very popular person that does past life regressions at many events and festivals. And with that, when I had my experience with him, I just felt really uncomfortable. And during the experience, I was taken on a very deep personal journey about high evolution on multi-planes, dealing with some ascended masters and deep personal spiritual work, that I was told to gather my own information, which I had in this deep meditative experience via hypnosis, but only to share with him different aspects that weren't the full story. Sometimes trust that your instincts, your gatekeepers, your angels, and your protective team are going to guide you on what you can and can't share with the person doing your regression. I do remember the first time I tried hypnosis when I was 22 years old, and part of the hypnosis journey of taking the steps down and down and down deeper into the subconscious mind, I went into a massive abreaction of this deep fear of hurt because I was delving into a past that I was consciously not ready for. Trust your body, trust your energy, trust your team to protect you at any time throughout this journey. If you are not consciously capable and aware or stable enough to deal with the information that's going to come through, or not knowledgeable enough to accept the variety of information that comes through, your consciousness isn't going to share it with you now. Your soul is never going to give you more than you can handle in this moment. Always trust you when looking for your healers, your guides, and mentors, because they know what you're available for. They know who you are, and they know how much you can handle in this present moment. If I went and had my past life information and the regressions back when I was 22, it would have fractured me even more than I was already fractured, because I was mentally not available to understand it. The knowledge and understanding, I didn't have the resources to find the great healers that I have now, or even understand the full soul's progression at that stage. You will only ever go down this pathway, one, when you are ready, one, when you are able to deal with it, and anything that's going to come up is only for what you exactly need to know now. Some of my past lives happen in certain avenues of exactly why they had to happen in those moments. Everything comes to you in the perfect time for you. Trust those instances and events because they know exactly what they're doing for you. There are many different ways that you're going to evolve through this healing journey, and it's up to you which ways you take. As you progress through this spiritual awakening, some of you are going to be very, very powerfully connected to your own intuition, your higher self, and have the capacity and capability of doing all of this for yourself. Learn the right techniques. It's one of the ways that I learned it. Learning Reiki changed my whole life in the way that I was able to channel information and connect to the greater collectiveness of source energy. Go and learn the healing arts and the skills. If you want to delve into the Akashic records, go and learn how to access them. It is something I'm interested in, but I'm actually sort of banned personally from reading my Akashic record. Every time I go to view it, they shut the book on me. And I've only had 2 successful Akashic record readers able to read portions of my soul contract. I don't know why. I just trust the information that's given to me. And trust me, I've had plenty out there that go, oh, I can do it. I know exactly what I'm doing. And I go, good luck. Go have a look at it. And only 2 have been successful. Trust that sometimes a healer doesn't know everything. They don't have access to everything about you. That just means they're not the right healer for you in that present time. You could go back to that same healer years later and get great information. Like I mentioned with the lady, that there was no way I was having it when I asked her how did she do it, and she told me she communicated through a higher self. I didn't trust it because I didn't understand that connection. It wasn't until I created my own connection, because I was so disconnected from self at that present time when I first met her, that I was able to comprehend that there was this beautiful communication you could have with your higher self. These parts of your elevation and ascension and knowledge journey happen exactly when you're meant to. So be very mindful of how you do it. There are many, many different healing techniques, and everyone is available to learn. Go and find the right mentor, the right teacher to help you along the journey. In order to heal the past life wounds, the biggest factor that you need to take into account is acceptance. You have to accept and acknowledge that it happened. And this can delve really deep into shadow work in present and current life, and also past lives. We experience the yin yang of life, all the good, all the bad. We are teachers or perpetrators or people that cause harm, or we're victims and students and people that suffer great atrocities. And we have to accept both. it can be really hard to understand that centuries ago in times of war, that you may have hurt people that you would never think of hurting today. But that is why you are exactly like you are today. That's what evolution is. You are very rarely ever going to find past lives that repeat over and over and over again, where you are the same teacher of the same lesson of the same thing. Because once we get a lesson, we really don't want to learn it again before. What we want to do is experience the other side of it. As I said, the yin yang of it. You will find that if in one past life that you hurt, so in my past life with my brother, he suffered a lot for me. He saved me from great harm. And in this life, I had to suffer a lot from him to save him from great harm. Our lives have taken on different journeys, and he has had things much easier than I've had in this life. But that is part of the cycle of what I wanted to do, was to create sufferance for self so that he had ease and flow. And I was grateful to be able to do that. That is the one thing, as you delve deep into the soul aspect of the core of your humanness and your soul's capacity, of how we want to make amends and how we want to be something for somebody else. That is the empath of the life that I've chosen today. So when you're clearing it, you need to come to clear acceptance of what it is and just honor that that was part of who you are. It's not who you are today. It's who you were. But who you were does exist in some aspect of self. It's denial of that that creates the disease within the body. So when we accept it, we can then forgive it. Forgiving is about forgiving yourself for going through it, for choosing to go through those lessons, for being those versions of self that you are, and forgiving the person who's done things to you, who's played a role as the teacher for you, who volunteered to assist you to become who you are today. There's also reprogramming of limiting beliefs through affirmations or emotional freedom technique and tapping, through changing your mindset reprogramming. You can do hypnosis to instill new beliefs using subliminals and things like that. And there's Reiki healing, energetic healing, kinesiology, all different aspects of healing that you can choose to take on in order to help you resolve those lessons from the past. Everything about your past life is about the lesson that you learned. And as long as you understand that lesson, it becomes beautiful, powerful knowledge to help you catapult your life forward from where you are today. Your past lives are not here to control you. They are here to empower you with knowledge and understanding and acceptance of how you to become the beautiful human that you are right now. Everything about you is perfection, and our greatest gift that we can give ourselves is to find acceptance with all of our aspects. We are like a diamond with many, many different facets, and we need to understand and accept all of them. And as you know, many diamonds have imperfections. They have cracks or little marks and scratches, and that's like our humanness. When we have little foibles or imperfections and aspects of self that maybe weren't great in those moments, but it's how you choose to move forward with the knowledge of that. And you certainly can't do it with denial. To understand the past of this life and any past lives, acceptance is key. When I accepted that I died from a cat, it was easy to get over it, to reconnect with cats. When I accepted that my brother suffered greatly, it was easy to heal that relationship and to sever the ties. And I did a lot of that work through cord cutting. And at the time when I did that work, I didn't understand the powerful process of Ho'oponopono. But I did cord cutting and just sent love and healing and forgiveness to him. It was a natural instinct of trying to rebuild and solidify a relationship in this current life, because I understood why his actions towards me were how they were at a soul level. And I begged for forgiveness from his soul. And thankfully, it was given. He doesn't fully realize it, but I understand it from my perspective of life. And one of the things that you are going to understand is this is all about your perspective of life. It's up to you how you choose to work through it, of how you choose to focus on what is happening in your life. You can't do past life healing to change anybody else's life. They have free will. You can't change karmic debt or anything like that for anybody else but yourself. And karmic is just the balance that we create for self based on where we feel we have done wrong. It is how we punish ourselves and create and attract negative things based on our thoughts, our feelings, and the energy that we put behind it. And it is something that we personally can change. So please explore your own past life connections. If you want to do a past life regression, reach out. I do it via hypnosis. I love it. It's quite amazing. It's powerful. It can be done in person and it works really well over Zoom. When I was learning my hypnosis and NLP training last year, I did it all over Zoom. That was where I discovered some of my money blocks. And it was a really powerful experience because it's about the gaining of the knowledge and understanding and accepting the facts that come through the conscious mind. And the funny part is during that time, I was given a name and it was called Illyria, of the place of where I lived and the timing, which was around 500 AD. Being Google friendly and wanting to know if what I seen was real, yes, that place did exist. It's around the Amalfi Coast and not far from Malta, which is where my family heritage is from. It doesn't exist now. I think it's now called Serbia or something like that. I'd have to double check. But it did exist as that name back in that time. So I know that experience that I had was real. And that is the great part about past lives. I know the experience I had with Bastet was real because it is a historical thing that we can hear about. Your own version of what goes on will show up in your consciousness in a way that will help you understand who you are. And it's your version and perception of that matters, because that is what it will create the greatest healing for you personally. And that is the most important factor right now. Thank you for listening. Please follow me on socials and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss an episode. You can also follow us on Facebook with the links below. Until next time, trust your intuition and let your spirit soar.